Welcome back. Here with another episode of College Coaches Corner. We're taking it back to Division III, going to head coach of Centenary College, Jason Schmitz. Centenary is a Division III school. It's one of only two in Louisiana. It's located in Shreveport, Louisiana. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well, staying healthy, trying to stay as active as possible, and just adjusting and adapting to this new norm, right? So I'm fired up to be on this little episode you got rolling here.
Awesome, man. We're glad to have you. Thankful. We're going to jump right into it. Tough question that we try to ask. You're in your second year, right? So as a head coach, whether it's in your first or second year, who do you feel like was the first coach that outcoached you?
Ooh, yeah, first coach that outcoached me. God, there's probably a ton of them this year. It seemed like, Justin, obviously, he does a great job up at Millsaps always. We've played them back-to-back years. Drew at Hendricks, he's awesome. In our league, I hate going up against Cam Hill at Trinity. I mean, that dude, with the pedigree he's got, as his dad was the former head coach of the Spurs and his brother was in the G League for a while. I mean, I remember my first game going against him. Like, I thought I had a good scouting report done. And all of a sudden, like, they come out and we're in our little matchup, man-to-man zone type of thing. And the stuff he's running, I'm like, I don't know if I've seen a women's team run this. I'm like, what is going on here? And that right before that Christmas, I mean, I was just – I had no answers. I'm like, I hadn't had to prepare for this ever as an assistant coach with some of the actions they were doing with the switching that we were doing at that time. I mean, it was just – that guy is unbelievable. And I was kind of hoping he was going to take their men's job so I didn't have to coach against him anymore. But he told me he's good where he's at. And I'm like, come on, man. I don't want to have to deal with you twice a year. So, yeah, he's unreal.
That's pretty cool. I know for my experience speaking with you at the New Orleans Basketball in the Bayou, I think it was last year, 2 years ago. I feel like you have a great grasp on the X's and O's, and that's what I was really impressed with. I kind of took away from that. Can you explain a little bit of your background and coaching background, how you ended up at Centenary?
Yeah, so, the Lord works in mysterious ways. I'll tell you what, when I was in college, I played college baseball. And when I was in college, I was an assistant boys coach at my high school. And I helped out there for 3 years. And I went to grad school to be a grad assistant baseball coach and got my master's in education. And I'm from Bismarck, North Dakota. So I moved back home after grad school. I went to grad school in Massachusetts. And I moved back home. And I was substitute teaching, coaching baseball still. And I hadn't really thought about getting back into basketball. Like, it was something that never really occurred to me. And then I got my first teaching job in a small town outside of Bismarck, North Dakota by the name of Wing. And it was a Wing public school system. It's a town of maybe 150 people, give or take, whatever it was. And we're in a co-op with Wilton and get my first teaching job. And the head girls coach, Lisa Jenkins, formerly Lisa Herner. She's from Wilton and played at Texas A&M back in the day. So she is fantastic. And I remember she calls me up one day and she's like, I need like a 5th and 6th grade girls coach, a 7th and 8th grade girls coach, and would you be one of my assistants on the varsity too? And I'm like, first year teacher. I'm like, yeah, what the heck? I'll take any other $1,000 I can get right now. I'm a fresh out of grad school. I need some money. So I did it, and it was unreal. Like, I just fell in love with coaching it again. Within the next year or whatever, I got my first head girls coaching job in Oaks, North Dakota, and I was there for 2 years. And then, I had a buddy that became the head football coach at Gila Ridge High School in Yuma, Arizona, right by the California border and about 20 miles north of Mexico. And the athletic director was from North Dakota as well. And they had a government teacher opening and a head girls basketball coach opening. So I apply for it and I get it. And, I thought I was living the life. Me and like 4 buddies all moved down to Yuma, Arizona to teach and coach at the same school. We had condos across the street from each other with a pool. Like, we were living the life. And my old boss at the University of Mary, where I went to undergrad, he was one of my high school basketball coaches, Rick Newman, who to this day I'm wicked tight with and good friends. He's kind of been my main influence from a coaching offensively schematic standpoint. And he called me up on, God, it had been like beginning of September. And he's like, hey, I don't know if you heard, Adam, his old assistant, took an assistant coaching job at the University of North Dakota, Division I, which was Adam's alma mater. And he's like, I wonder, would you be interested in being my contingency plan? He's like, I got a guy coming in to interview. Would you mind kind of being my backup plan? And I never thought twice about it. I was happy at Gila Ridge. I thought I'd be there for 5-6 years, try to continue to build on the program that they had, started, and it was a relatively new high school, and just kind of had lay that foundation and continue to build on it. And within the next week, he's like, it didn't work out for whatever reason. I wish I could just offer you the job. Can I fly you up here for an interview? And I'm like, mind you, I'd only been at Gila Ridge for since June. And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So I get up there, I interview with the team on that Sunday, and I knew most of them because I'd worked basketball camps for them for a couple of years. Interviewed with the team on Sunday night, with all the athletic department on that Monday. And by the time I boarded the plane back to Yuma that night, I had a job offer. He's like, and I'm like, yeah, cool. When do you need me to start? He's like tomorrow, if you could. But so, I flew back to Yuma that night. I flew back into Phoenix and drove the 2.5 hours to Yuma. Woke up the next morning after about 4 hours of sleep, turned my letter of resignation in, packed all my stuff up, started driving home that Friday, and started hitting the ground running on that Monday. And that was just crazy. And it was a blast. I was there for 4 years. Had a chance to just really, really learn how to be a college basketball coach, I think, from Coach Newman. And I tell you what, that dude is his X's and O's knowledge and his motion scheme and the way he's able to just see the big picture. It blew my mind. Like every day, just, sitting there and being able to learn from him in those aspects and really learn how to recruit and what it means to care about your student athletes and build a program. And then, the summer before I got to Centenary, my friend Sam Hoyt, she became the head coach at Michigan Technological University up in the UP, and she was looking for an assistant, and she hired me. But I kind of was like, I'll give you as much time as I can, but if a head coaching job comes up, as those aren't easy to come by, that I'm interested in, I got to apply. This Centenary job and Viterbo University in La Crosse, Wisconsin, both opened up late. And I didn't really think I had a real shot at it, but I put in for it. All of a sudden, I get a call from both ADs to interview for the jobs. So I'm actually Marcus, our AD, who's the man. He flew me down for an interview, and the Viterbo AD called me the Friday that same day as I'm in the plane for an interview to set up. So I interviewed at Centenary Friday, flew back, fell in love with the campus. I really did. It's a homey feeling place. The institution truly cares about its students. I tell recruits all the time, it's pretty rare that our president, Dr. Holloman, and his wife on freshman moving day, they're out there sweating their tails off, helping freshmen move into dorms.
That's big time.
I mean, yeah, you don't see that everywhere, right? That's nowhere. So they're out there busting it. Connie's one of our biggest fans, and she's at as many games as she possibly can be. So it's just it was that homey feel. And, and I interviewed at Viterbo that next Monday, and, Marcus called me with a job offer, and I called up Sam after he offered it to me, and I asked her what she thought. She was like, you got to take it. You got to roll. So I'm fortunate that she allowed me, after just hiring me, 3 months or 4 months prior to that, to really, really pursue, a dream of being a collegiate head coach. And, I think Centenary is just a place that has so much potential, just as an institution, being so solid academically, and the stuff that we've done to invest back in athletics. And the D3 model is really kind of a cool one when you think about it. And in terms of the student athletes, really, really, truly being there because it's what they want to do. They want to play basketball or baseball, lacrosse, whatever they're doing. The Division III model is one that's unique, and I really, truly enjoy being part of that.
That's awesome. I think as a coach or any other coach can take from that, is you got to make the best of the situation that you're at, and who knows what's around the corner. That kind of reminds me of my situation. I was a coach at Albany High School, and coaching, I was just going to all these practices, college coaches practice, just to try to watch and see and learn. And next thing you know, they had a job opening at one of the places, and it was in October, super late. Nobody really wanted to make a jump at that time, and long story short, that's how I got my foot in the door. And it's kind of the same thing, like you never really know, and
that's
kind of just make the best of the job you got.
Yeah. Any of these young coaches that always are younger coaches that all call me up or want to talk, they're like, well, what's advice? I'm like, never be afraid to move and never say no. Because I think it was Don Meyer used to say, he's like, and I think Jim Boone is fond of saying it sometimes too, like there's no such thing as a bad job. Like it's any job in the coaching world's a good job. It's what you're able to make of it. And it's crazy. The Lord works in mysterious ways, but I'm incredibly blessed and fortunate to be where I'm at. And I love coaching at Centenary. I know every place, we used to, our volleyball coach at Mary told me one time, she's like, every place has devils of different design, and you just got to be able to figure out which one it is and take it head on and learn at every spot you're at.
No doubt, man. You talked about it a little bit. Wanted to give you an opportunity to use the platform and really explain, like we only have 2 Division III schools. A lot of them are up north, and it's more common for girls to go to Division III in the Minnesotas, Dakotas, and all those. We only have 2 here in the whole state. Education is probably your hardest thing as far as when you're recruiting. How would you advise and challenges, and how do you educate someone about the Division III level?
Yeah, D3 is just different, and it's still you just hope you can find those kids that really want that fit in the field. For us, it's if you're a pre-med student, Centenary is amazing. We got like a 92 or 93% med school placement rate, which is just ridiculously good. Obviously, like that's through the roof. Like that's a game changer for us. But then beyond that, we're the state of Louisiana's only Tier 1 liberal arts college. Just being able to say you're one of the top. I tell kids, like, I don't even quite understand what all that means. It's just a fancy way of saying we're really, really good at what we do. We're one of the top 200 liberal arts colleges in the country. And so whether you're psychology or business or, if you want to be a member in the choir, but you still want to play some basketball, like you have that opportunity. And for us sitting at a 9-to-1 student to faculty ratio, those students that, if you're a pre-med kid, I mean, shoot, that's a demanding and daunting major that if you were to go to a D2, D1, heck, even an NAI level, if you're on a scholarship, those coaches may not be all for that. We had one of my former GAs at Mary, she started her career at Iowa and finished up at Winona State in Minnesota and was a stud. She was big. She's played like 26 games her freshman year at Iowa. And she used to tell us that, when she was talking to these other coaches, and she didn't reference any specific school, but when she was saying, I want to be a nursing major, like some of these coaches would be like, no, you can't be a nursing major and play D1. Like you just can't. That was a big selling point for us, even at Mary, and now even at Centenary. It's like, well, you get to do what you want to do. Like you can major, you can be pre-med. Probably a third of my roster is in some sort of that science related field. And I think, you really just emphasize that with those kids. Like, yeah, it may cost you a few extra bucks to go here, but the value of our education is great. The fact that on average students graduate from Centenary and are making darn near $60,000 a year right out the chute, or you're going to grad school. Like I think I can't remember the exact number, but it was like, if a kid didn't have a job, like right out of Centenary, the fact that if you went to grad school, like we had an over 90% placement rate on students that elected to go to a graduate school. It's just stuff like that, that the level of education is good. But yeah, you referenced it right. I mean, the upper Midwest and your Northwest, Northeast, those are D3 heavy where students understand it more. So our challenge is really, really educating families and students in the state of Louisiana on the D3 model. And that's just been great. That's been different for me because, I mean, that D3 model in Minnesota, Wisconsin, you know, those D3s are big time. I mean, shoot, St. Thomas up in St. Paul were so good they just got booted out of their league.
That's great.
You know, I mean, they got 6,000 students there. I mean, it's unreal, right? I mean, and we're struggling to get to 1,000, just like LC is, and it's just it's got its unique challenges, but I think people don't realize how good the level of basketball D3 is nationwide sometimes.
100%. I think you know, Justin talked about it a little bit. The overall mindset is you get to be a well-rounded student. You can play basketball. We talked about it, and he talked about it some too, where a lot of his girls do internships over the summer. You know, you're not practicing until October. When the season's over, you can't really touch them. So you're able to do a lot of things off the court and on the court and kind of get that full, well-rounded. And I feel like, in my opinion, you'd probably be better off because at the end of the day, not very many girls are going to play professional basketball. And if they are not making as much money, you're going to be better prepared as a person in your profession at the Division III level. And that's what's kind of opened my eyes. You want to add a little bit on that, or?
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Like we always say, you know, as we try to figure out what's important to students beyond basketball, like what's like, so yeah, the internship opportunities, you know, we've got a partnership set up with Northwestern Mutual for our student athletes and it's called Life After Athletics. So we got a couple Northwestern Mutual guys that come in every month or 2 months or whatever, and we set it up with the student athletes, like, hey, how to build your resume, how to find internships, you know, what's life look like after you get done at Centenary, and just the help where, you know, I had a girl player last year, I think she interned at LSU Ochsner Hospital. Well, if you're D1, I mean, shoot, you're stuck working, you're at the school the entire time. Or even for us, you know, this year's obviously a little bit different because of this whole COVID-19 thing, but you know, we're huge on international study. So we actually, every incoming freshman at Centenary during August term goes to Paris, France for like 10 days.
Wow.
So like they move in the first weekend of August, they're taking a class for like a week, then they hop on a plane with the entire freshman class and they're gone for like 10 days over studying in Paris. And then they come back and then they're in class. And people would be like, well, how does that work for fall sports? Well, they take a half credit instead of a full credit class. And you're able to do that at the D3 level, where you wouldn't be able to do that when you're D1. And then same thing for us, May term is huge, where, you know, every May we have our modules, and this year, once again, a little bit different. So we're trying to figure out how it looks. It might have to get pushed back to August, but you know, usually in May term, then kids take one more international experience here during May term, where they'll go to, I don't know, I had former players, I think they said they went to like Costa Rica for like 2 weeks. I mean, shoot, you're sitting there going to Costa Rica for like 2 weeks and you're learning on the beach. That doesn't sound terrible, does it? I mean, you know, that's all stuff that if you look at what's important to you, you want to look at those internship opportunities, or what's the buzz phrase, the whole life and balance thing. You know, D3 is a money model for that type of thing. And if you got to find what's important to you, what you want your life, your whole school experience to be like. Do you want to be involved in international study? Well, that's not going to happen at the D1 level. You know, that's probably not going to happen at the D2 level, even if you're on a full boat. And for us, that's been kind of a niche, because some kids, I mean, I'm a bad recruiter sometimes, because I forget to mention the Paris thing every now and then. And then when a kid finds out about it on an admissions visit, like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, if I was a better recruiter, I'd remember to say that. I'd lead the call with that. Like, hey, you want to go to Paris as part of your tuition? Like, it doesn't cost you any extra money. Okay, cool. You know, it's just really unique, and it's a cool thing. And I think, like Justin said, like, that's right. It hits the nail on the head. Like, what else do you want out of your college experience?
I love it, man. That's great information. Kind of segues me into the next one. I'm sure you get a lot of questions, you know. So Division III can't give athletic scholarships. What can y'all give money-wise? Is it all school-related, academics? Is it financials? Like, what can y'all offer at Centenary?
For us, it's obviously the better the student, the better the package is off the bat. But then, we do meet up a certain percentage of need. For Louisiana kids, we accept top scholarship. For transfer students, if they're Phi Theta Kappa, that's worth another amount of money. We can be like for local kids at this point in time. So if you're a 711 or a 710 zip code to start, you get a housing waiver and stuff like that. So if you're a good student or you have financial need, the value of the education is great, especially if you're in one of those specialty fields. We can be highly competitive, I think. Maybe not with all of your state schools, but most of them in certain rights, depending on the level of academics. And especially once we're able to compete with the private schools in Texas and some of those private NAIs as well. We're able to be competitive financially with them. So yeah, our scholarship levels I think are pretty normal, pretty adequate. When I start comparing and contrasting private schools, Division IIIs across the country, when I look them up, like we're right there. Fortunately, we're on a pretty solid financial standing with our endowments really generous. So things are rolling well. Like, we're getting a brand new gym floor right now. So I know we're not worrying too much about it. Right. I mean, obviously everyone's in an enrollment race, but I think if you're a good student or you have financial need, we're able to be really competitive with a lot of schools.
Where can kids' parents go to find that stuff? Is that on y'all's website or?
Yeah,
how does that work?
Go to centenary.edu. Right now we're doing virtual visits. So the best thing to do is, I stay out of all the financial discussion stuff because it's kind of an NCAA violation for me to really be too much involved with that, obviously. And our admissions counselors are dynamite. So right now we're doing virtual visits where it's 45 minutes of their life. They sign up for a virtual visit and the admissions counselor will email them for an exact time of the Zoom meeting. But they got to have that layout, and it'll have like what the full tuition is, but then it'll also have your scholarship levels for this, that, and your scores and other scholarship opportunities out there. But for us, I mean, the state of Louisiana, TOPS is a game changer for those kids. I mean, that's $6,000. That's a good chunk of change every year, if that. But we just got to make sure we got the students that can make it work and are good with that. So yeah, centenary.edu is where to go for all that admissions academic information. But if it looks confusing, it's because it might be just a little bit confusing, because it is for me even. And I've been doing it for a few years, where just contact admissions and they'll answer any questions that any family needs.
Good deal. So like to recap, like the recruiting process for a Division III prospect, I guess, let's say, student athlete, how, like you see them or you're interested in them, how does that go, like step by step, I guess, for the kid to see? Like I said, there's no athletic scholarship. At
right.
what point you kind of hand them over to admissions, or you kind of hand them over to admissions and then they handle it from there, or how does that process work?
Well, for me, I treat it just like anything else. I'll treat it just like I was when I was a scholarship coach in terms of how I'm recruiting these student athletes, and try to reach out, every week and a half to 2 weeks. In a normal cycle, I would have been seeing you at some tournament probably at some point this spring, right? And we'd have been, adding to our list or building a list for whatever class it was. And from there, we just start contacting kids and try to set up campus visits. And I treat it just like I would be if I was offering a kid a scholarship. It's just now I'm offering them an opportunity to continue their basketball career while getting a spectacular education. So we really, really recruit just normal, and it's phone calls and text messages, and then we set up a campus visit, and they do the whole, here's the tour, and you sit down with admissions and you meet with the team, and then our admissions counselors, in terms of all the financial stuff, that's admissions counselors and our financial aid people that handle that. and then we can begin. They build a package and they work with those families, and maybe their FAFSA might have changed a little bit, or they filled it out slightly incorrectly, and an adjustment needs to be made or whatever. But yeah, in terms of the finances, admissions and financial aid touches all that. And I kind of just, if a family communicates with me like, hey coach, this doesn't seem right, I thought we'd be getting this, then I can kind of work with admissions and be like, hey, can you review this again? I don't have anything to do with it, but like they handle all the finances, they handle getting the kids in, and I worry about the basketball side and then bringing the kids to them. Like it's probably a little bit more of a team effort with admissions than it was like when I was a D2 assistant, and we were able to offer the athletic aid, and now it's financial aid and academic. And we, our admissions director has probably been annoyed with me these last couple of weeks. Her and I have been on the phone probably every couple of days, and our transfer counselor and I've been on the phone every couple of days. But it's just a little bit more team effort, which is also makes the level a little bit more unique because it's a collective unit working to get everything accomplished.
That's good to hear, though. I mean, it's like you said, at the end of the day, when the recruiting process for the student athlete stays the same, you're still recruiting them like you would for a D2, D1. That kind of leads me to my next question. And you touched on it. Like I saw you at Basketball on the Bayou. You guys at Division III don't have a calendar to where you cannot go to events. Someone that feels like they have a Division III athlete as a coach or a PSA, where can they go to get seen? Like where are you guys out in the summer? Where are you recruiting? High school events, etc.?
For me, I think obviously the Basketball on the Bayou is great. For us, like just because of our location, Texas is good for us. Being a hop, skip, and a jump from the border. I love recruiting in Frisco. Those were good tournaments for us last year. A lot of Louisiana teams go to that one. It seemed like Basketball on the Bayou, the numbers were a little bit less last year. I think anytime a kid sees and this, like if you see a prospect camp is open, you go to that, because as from your experience, like it's hard to see everybody. It is hard to see everybody. And I know from in my 2020 class right now, of the 5 kids that have committed, and almost finished with the depositing, I saw every single one, whether it was at my prospect camp or a team camp last year. And now I had seen them in a AAU event, but it might have been for a half of basketball. And then, if they come to the prospect camp, which I held in early June last year, then I'm able to really, really narrow in on those kids. So I think if you think you're a D3 level kid, or any level kid, if you have any desire to play college basketball and you have a chance to go to a prospect camp, you should just go to it, because even if they're too good, we all know each other well enough that we could be out at an event and be like, hey, you should be checking out this kid. She can go. And, she was at our prospect camp and she's probably above my level. You might want to go watch her game. You know what I mean? And I think anytime you can get to a prospect camp, that's great. And even, D1s will tell us all the time, like, hey, if you want to come watch our camps, you're welcome to. So those are just important to be at camps. And then high school events, I think any of those tournaments, what was that one I saw you at, like those all-star games, and there's those ones over Christmas that are always easier for us to get to, obviously. And then I always try to show face at the state tournament, even if I'm not in on a kid. I just, it's always good to go watch teams win titles, and it's fun to watch winners. And sometimes you're able to get eyes on a kid. And then I was lucky that when I got down here, I didn't start until my first official day was October 9th, 2018. And we started practice October 15th.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a crazy year. So I was fortunate that one of our men's assistants, Coach Reed, that dude could probably run for governor and might win, so many people. But he's like, hey, I got a friend who's a coach at this school. She's got some kids you might want to check out. So I was lucky in that aspect. And I think even for the D3 stuff, some of that NCSA type of sites, those are good for us too, just because it's getting us information and contact with kids. I know our men's coach is big on NCSA. It's been really, really good for him, especially later in the game, and especially in now this recruiting climate. that film and those highlight reels are going to be so prime for kids.
For sure, man. I agree wholeheartedly. With that, what do you think you're going to have elite camps or prospect camps like you called it over the summer? Or what's
we're hoping. We're hoping in July. We've kind of had to put everything on hold. I was hoping to do 2. I was going to do 1 in June and 1 in July, and now I think we're fingers crossed that this stuff clears up and we're able to in July or August, whenever it ends up being. I mean, that's the hope. That's the best way to see a ton of kids in a short period of time, I think. I mean, I had darn near 40 kids at it last year, and it was just good to get multiple eyes on it because, I had assistant coaches there. I had friends there working it or men's coaches working it for me, and just it's nice to get more than one set of eyes on it. So I know we're all stuck in the same holding pattern. I think I saw some school up in Indiana announcers are already. I'm like, man, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
But we're hoping. I'm hoping sometime end of July, maybe after that second viewing period. But we're all stuck in what's the NCAA going to do with the calendar this year, and when are they going to allow that stuff for D1s to get out again? With it already being bumped back to May 31st. I mean, it could be a crazy summer. It might just be an open period for 2 straight months. Who knows what's going to happen? So
nobody really knows.
No.
Coach, I appreciate you coming on, of course. Is there anywhere that the girls can follow you, social media, or keep up with you guys?
Yeah, you can follow me personally on Twitter at Coach J Schmitz, SCHMITZ, and then our Centenary women's basketball is just Centenary WBB, I believe. Either of those, you can shoot me an email, find me on gocentenary.edu or gocentenary.com, excuse me, and shoot me an email of any highlight films or anything like that. I'm trying to be active on social media with stuff, and fortunately social media is great for this type of stuff, and you get to learn from other people. I mean, those coaches clinics, the virtual coaches clinics, finding out about all those was awesome. And social media has been huge. It's been keeping me sane these last couple of days, and stuff like this is good. I love this stuff because when you're locked in your house and you're looking at the same wall all the time, it's nice to talk to other people. So,
no doubt.
But yeah, I mean, anything like that, and I'm looking forward to watching more and more of these. I've been watching all of them the last few days, so I'm excited to continue to see what other coaches have to say about adjusting and pivoting through all this stuff.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, Coach, again, man, we appreciate it. Thanks for everyone that was stopping by and checking us out. Coach, good luck. Nothing but good luck in the future. We look for big things, with your guys' team winning it. Definitely be done. So I'm looking for big things in the future with you guys. Thanks again, everyone, for coming out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll have a few more college coaches on in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Chris. You have a good one. Stay healthy.
Thanks, man.